Talked about the left hook. That's the punch. That's Valdez's signature punch, and that's the punch that Berchelt, throughout the course of his career, he does not defend well against that shot.
Alright guys, welcome back to the E1 Combat channel. So on screen you guys will see the fight that took place last week between Miguel Berchelt and Oscar Valdez, and it took place at 130 pounds, and it was for the WBC Super Featherweight Championship. So we're just going to look at the approach that both of these fighters took going into this fight. So first we'll see or take a look at the champion that night, which was Miguel Berchelt. Miguel Berchelt punches didn't really have that much of a pop to him in comparison to Oscar Valdez. In reality, none of his punches did. Throughout the rounds, as the rounds went by, his punches just seemed very lethargic, very slow in comparison to the punches by Oscar Valdez that we'll see or analyze later on in this video. But yeah, his punches just kind of seemed off, and I'm not really trying to take anything away from Oscar Valdez. But yeah, man, Miguel Berchelt didn't really look like himself, and he looked very slow in comparison to Oscar Valdez. He looked very, very drained. Even the commentators kind of realized that and pointed that out during this matchup. On the other hand, we saw Oscar Valdez implement feints early on. So there's two reasons why he did this. First of all, he was a shorter fighter with a shorter reach. So he was at a 7-inch reach disadvantage. So he kind of needed a way to be able to step on the inside to connect punches on Berchelt and be able to get out of there as quickly as he possibly can without sustaining that much damage or being connected by any of Berchelt's punches. On the other hand, these feints would kind of open up one of the keys to Oscar Valdez's victory, which is of course the left hook. As you guys can see on screen, every time Oscar Valdez would feint, Berchelt would kind of bring his hands down, and this would be the openings that Oscar needed to connect one of the signature punches throughout this fight, which was the left hook that we'll see later on in this video. As noted, Miguel Berchelt's jabs looked very lethargic in comparison to Oscar Valdez. On screen you guys will see some of the jabs that Oscar Valdez threw, and you guys could actually see the speed difference between Berchelt's and Oscar Valdez's jabs and punches in general. And here you guys will see how quick and how snappy Oscar Valdez's jabs were in comparison to Berchelt's.
So Miguel Berchelt, good work tripling up the jab now, Valdez.
Beautiful jab right there. And he can even bring that jab downstairs as well. And look at them.
And he's eating these left hooks. And now snapping jab and a right hand comes in from Valdez.
So another thing that made this fight very difficult for Miguel Berchelt was the fact that Oscar was not a very stationary target. And I have nothing against El Bandido Vargas, but Bandido Vargas just basically kind of stood in front of Miguel Berchelt, unlike Oscar Valdez, who constantly found those exits to basically not be a stationary target for Miguel Berchelt, knowing damn well that Miguel Berchelt has power. So this basically would force Miguel Berchelt to chase or follow around Oscar Valdez, and basically didn't give him the opportunity to plant his feet and create leverage and create these solid power punches that we've seen time and time again from Berchelt's behalf. On top of that, every time Oscar Valdez would be trapped, he would constantly be turning him, kind of going back to the center of the ring and avoiding pretty much all the big powerful shots that Miguel Berchelt had to offer.
Valdez is using that turn and burn, baby. Turn and burn. Keep turning him. Make him pick up his feet. That's what you do against a puncher. A guy that needs to stand in position to be able to land this offense.
The face of Valdez. He opens up with a left hook. Goes right back to it. Right back to it again. Chopping with a right hand. Here's Valdez now.
So on screen you guys will see most of the left hooks thrown by Oscar Valdez. And as you guys could tell, some of these left hooks were amazing because they had no setups. And some, as you guys could tell, they follow up with the right hand, or sometimes they're set up by a right hand. But overall, they mostly all found a target on Miguel Berchelt, whether it was to the body or to the head. And besides the fact that Miguel Berchelt got tagged with a lot of power punches by Oscar Valdez that also took a wear on him, also this left hook was probably the most devastating one, because like the commentators mentioned, it was one of those punches that just kept being placed perfectly, and at the same time it's probably one of those punches that Miguel Berchelt just didn't really know how to defend. He never found a solution to this left hook, and overall this would eventually be his demise.
From your opponent when you're hitting them with big shots.
Biggest weapon Valdez possesses, and he is utilizing it well tonight. The left hooks.
And got out of harm's way.
There's the left hook again.
Ooh.
Left hook again from Valdez.
Haven't come around with that left hook. Has to take within this fight. He's not just going to lay like, oh.
Look at that left hook from Oscar Valdez, and Berchelt is tied up.
So this was actually in round 4, and as you guys could tell, once again the left hook is one of those weapons that Oscar Valdez constantly used and it was very efficient for him. Right now, you're going to see how wobbly Miguel Berchelt is after being tagged by this left hook.
There it is.
He doesn't look good. He is hurt.
His legs are still wobbly.
Another left hook comes in. Seconds to survive it. There's another left hook.
So both these actions actually happened in round number 4. So right now, Oscar Valdez is going to land another left hook that's actually going to wobble Miguel Berchelt again. And it's going to be kind of like an opening for Oscar Valdez to come in with an onslaught of punches and eventually get a technical knockdown on Miguel Berchelt. Other than that, there was also another action where Oscar Valdez wobbles Miguel Berchelt with a left uppercut, I believe. So all of this actually happened in round number 4.
Measures up another one.
He
Wobbly legs on Berchelt. Can he survive these last 10 seconds? Headshot after headshot. Valdez scoring with ease. Backs him up, and that's a technical knockdown. The ropes held him up. Legs. Uppercut. Sends him back. Here's Valdez on the attack.
Another thing that I want to touch upon was the fact that Oscar Valdez would actually utilize a lot of shifts during this bout. So sometimes he'd go from left to right, from right to left. So he would constantly switch between orthodox stance and southpaw stance, which basically gave him different angles to be able to attack Miguel Berchelt. It also gave him certain exits, so he would be easily more able to turn Miguel Berchelt and get back to the center of the ring. At the same time, it basically gave Miguel Berchelt another look, because it's not the same thing fighting an orthodox fighter than it is to fight a southpaw fighter. And if you could dominate both sides, then constantly you're going to be giving your opposition a different look. So overall, it was just a masterclass performance by Oscar Valdez.
There was a couple of times where we turned southpaw. I think that was something that a lot of people didn't see, and I've been doing that for a long time, at least in sparring sessions and doing that in the gym. But for some reason, I wasn't doing that. I didn't feel comfortable doing it in other fights. So I did it right now, and it worked out perfectly.
Alright guys, so once again, and like always, all the examples are on screen. So on screen, you guys will see Oscar Valdez move from southpaw to orthodox, and from orthodox to southpaw. And I'm going to be breaking down some of these clips. I can't break down all of them just because this video would take way too much time, and it would be a much longer video than it already is. So we're going to take a look at one of the examples here.
Man, using his legs.
So as you guys can see, Oscar Valdez is in the southpaw stance. His right side is leading the movement, and he's pretty much cornered against a turnbuckle. And if you pay very close attention to the frame, you guys kind of see that Oscar Valdez already is the fighter kind of with the lead foot dominance already established. You see that his lead foot is more on the outside of the lead foot of Miguel Berchelt. So right now, Miguel Berchelt will actually close in the distance, and he'll actually throw a left hook that Oscar Valdez will roll under.
Popping in, he has a quicker hand.
And just like any other southpaw fighter, Oscar Valdez rolls and tries to get the outside angle on Miguel Berchelt, which he actually does. This basically leaves Miguel Berchelt in a vulnerable position, because now he has to basically turn all the way around to be able to face Oscar Valdez again. And this allows the opportunity for Oscar Valdez to get back to the middle of the ring.
He's using his athleticism right there. Beautiful.
As you guys could tell, right now Oscar Valdez will actually, roll under this left hook and get back to his orthodox stance.
Work by the young man.
Getting out of trouble as well. Had as well tonight. The left hooks.
So here it is one more time. Oscar Valdez will throw a right hook, and Miguel Berchelt will try to counter that with a left hook of his own. Oscar Valdez will actually roll under that left hook and get the outside angle of Miguel Berchelt's lead foot onto his right side, or Miguel Berchelt's left side, and this will actually force Miguel Berchelt to actually turn around and never give him the opportunity to basically plant his feet and comfortably land some power punches on Oscar Valdez. So I'm actually going to be showing you guys a different clip, this time in slow-mo. So right here you guys see Miguel Berchelt stalking Oscar Valdez. Oscar Valdez kind of keeping his distance with his right hand, now in the southpaw stance. So once again, Miguel Berchelt is kind of going to come in, leap in. Here you see Oscar Valdez with that check right hook, and he finds the exit. So he once again forces Miguel Berchelt to turn and never gives him the opportunity to plant his feet. Another thing that Oscar Valdez did quite well was the fact that he would start off in the southpaw stance, and then he would try to shift over back into orthodox by stepping in with a left hand. So in most cases, he would try to get the angle to force Miguel Berchelt to turn, keep forcing him to turn to get back to the center of the ring. But at the same time, there was instances like you guys see in the examples on screen where they would end up tying up, and Oscar Valdez wouldn't really get that full turn. So right now, this is going to be a very clear example of what I was talking about. So here, Oscar Valdez is in the southpaw stance, and right now he will actually shift over to his orthodox stance by trying, or pretty much throwing a left hand. So he'll throw this left hand and step through with it. As he's stepping with it, this allows him the opportunity to kind of shift over back into his orthodox stance, and at the same time with shifting, this allows him the opportunity to close distance or close more distance in a smaller amount of time. So it's a faster way to close distance, and this basically will give him the opportunity to get close enough to Miguel Berchelt to be able to kind of like hold on to his waist and be able to turn himself around and get back to the center of the ring. So in that little instance, it was enough for Oscar Valdez to get back to the center of the ring, and as you guys could tell, he's back in his orthodox stance. And right now I'm going to show you guys a different example so that way you guys can see a couple of times that Oscar Valdez used it. So here it is one more time. Oscar Valdez is in the southpaw stance in the corner. He's going to throw this left hand. At the same time, he's going to be stepping through with it and trying to close the distance. As you guys could tell, he changes levels a little bit. So he brings his head down a little bit just for the mere fact that, you know, Miguel Berchelt could counterpunch, or basically it gives him the opportunity to defend himself from any incoming punches. This allows him to get close enough and low enough for him to be able to grab a hold of Berchelt's waist, and it gives him the opportunity to basically turn him over. And as you guys could tell, Oscar Valdez turns him over, and once again he's back in his orthodox stance. So this basically was one of those techniques that Oscar Valdez used a couple of times throughout this fight. And right now I'm just going to let you guys enjoy a little bit of a sequence of this bout where he would move from southpaw to orthodox and vice versa.
For boxing right now for Valdez. Just beautiful boxing.
Good combination from Valdez.
Look at that. Turning outside the corner. Woo. Beautiful work by the young man.
Nice hop in his step, and then a lead left hook again. Berchelt trying to work behind that jab.
Listen, I don't know why Valdez is switching as much as he is, and I haven't seen him ever switch as much as he is, but it's effective and it's working right now.
And to not make this video longer than it already is, here you guys will see from an aerial view the knockdown of round number 9 by Oscar Valdez. And in this view, you guys could actually see how Oscar Valdez steps in with certain punches and converts himself from orthodox to southpaw and from southpaw to orthodox. So yeah, man, you guys could just pay very close attention to that. And right now I'm just going to kind of give you guys an overview, kind of breakdown, a short little breakdown on the knockout.
You see Oscar Valdez turning southpaw, feeling good, and you know a fighter's feeling good when they start throwing combinations you haven't seen all night.
So here's the knockout of round number 10, and it's basically an accumulation of everything that we talked about that went wrong for Miguel Berchelt. First of all, he was kind of just chasing Oscar Valdez at this point, so right now you guys will see it in real time how he was just basically just chasing and trying to kind of in a desperation try to just land whatever punches he could on Oscar Valdez. And pay very close attention to Oscar Valdez's feet right there. He's orthodox, then he's southpaw, so he's using his movements between orthodox and southpaw, and at the same time he's using his head and waist movement, which is also getting better under Eddie Reynoso. And again, the punch that we talked about throughout this whole video, the left hook, the one Miguel Berchelt never had an answer to. So there goes the left hook, and he basically gets put into the canvas, onto the canvas. So basically that will be the end of this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this small little breakdown. I know that the end wasn't really too thorough. I mean, we could have broken down that knockout even more thoroughly, but hopefully you guys enjoy. Till next time.